Before we enter this review, I would like to do a quick review on the Excalibur Mini Arc that takes place before the Mother's Rosario arc. In short, it was okay. It had more Klein in it that made it a lot better, but sadly did not change the fact that the story was only okay at best, and while it did make me laugh, it wasn't as good as some of the previous storylines, and I thought it was just okay, and I didn't really think it was anything super phenomenal, and I'd probably just rate it a 6 out of 10. Thank you all for listening, and now, on to the main review. Hello everybody! JGC Anime here, and welcome back to another anime review, where today we are going to be doing a review on the Mother's Rosario arc of SAO. This is the second main arc of Season 2, and it's the first arc where Asuna, who's been more of a side character to Kirito, actually gets the main focus. And when I saw this was going to be the case, it had me majorly intrigued with where the story was going to go. And so, I dived into it completely blind, not sure exactly what to expect. However, I was also looking forward to it. So, let's see what the whole thing had in store by going over everything and then explaining what I thought. So, basically the story summary. While the entire SAO crew are now just hanging out in ALO or Alfheim Online, they're now just kind of chilling out. Everything's happy. Everyone's completely happy. Even Sinon from the GGO arc was in on everything. She was hanging out with everyone. It was really all cool. And then they hear a rumor about this super powerful person who manages to fight all of these players and always win. Asuna, who's intrigued by this, asks how the mysterious person does against Kirito. And somehow events ensue, and Asuna decides to challenge this person, and this person invites Asuna to be on their team for a small adventure before she goes back to her friends. And yeah, it's just a really interesting story that involves Asuna teaming up with a new group of people that we'd never known before. So what are some of the things I like? Well, I do like how Asuna is portrayed in this, since she seems a lot more capable than she used to be. However, that does not completely change the fact that I never considered her character that phenomenal. There were tons of more characters I found way more interest in. But she's an okay character, and seeing her get the spotlight was definitely something I was looking forward to, since I didn't really see much of her from the first season, and it was really nice. I also really liked the action in this arc. I thought it was really well done, even if I didn't care about the characters half the time. But it wasn't exactly easy to watch at the same time. I do like the character of Yuki, who is I believe that's her name, is the other main character next to Asuna, who basically is trying to work with her team to get themselves on the boards for something about beating bosses. And I think that's a really interesting trait, and the fact that her whole character arc in this story was really well done. However, I can also say some of the things I disliked. The story was a bit lacking. I couldn't always follow along with everything. The main plot twist wasn't very good, and while I definitely admit the ending was sad, it's not like I literally cried sad. It was more like that's actually kind of sad type of sad. It was like I feel bad, but I don't cry bad. It's one of those weird moments where I thought the story was fine, but when it came to everything, I just didn't get into it as much as I have with Kirito's adventures. Well, to be fair, I also didn't get into Kirito's adventures with GGO, since that also was kind of meh. But I thought the story was a bit lacking and could have used a lot of work. I hear a lot of people praise this storyline, while also a lot of other people hate it. I don't really know what to say, but I thought the story was okay. Nothing special. I didn't think it was as good as some of the others. Even I admit that I'd rather go watch the GGO arc again than this. But I guess I've already moved to into the spoiler-free thoughts. Wow. Just the whole concept was fine. I'm sure people might be confused by this if they don't watch the full show and stuff like that, but it's kind of like where the story starts off in one direction, goes with nice pacing towards the middle, and then has a sad conclusion. So I'm not exactly sure how to feel towards it. However, I do find some enjoyment in this whole thing, even if the story is lacking a bit. I still enjoyed a lot of the action, a lot of the character, and a lot of different things, even though I also think that it could have used a lot of work as well. And that's all I can really say without giving away too many spoilers, because, boy, it's really easy to spoil the Mother's Rosario arc. I cannot explain how many times in this review already I have almost accidentally spoiled something. So, I guess I'm going to the spoiler section now. I'm gonna hop right into it because I just want to, explain my true thoughts towards everything. So, yeah, I'm gonna count down from 5. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so I admit I was a little put off by Asuna in this arc, not just because of her character, but because of her character design. When I watched her appearance as her ALO character, I did not know what to expect. I was completely dumbfounded by it, and I was just like, oh, Asuna looks like that? But that's not really something that I was entirely upset about. I was fine with it. I just kind of accepted it. What I was upset about was kind of how, even though she was the main character, and Kirito for once was actually put in the background. This may sound stupid, but when Kirito and Klein showed up in the major final moment, I was actually happy that they showed up, because I thought they had the funniest moment in the entire arc, and out of everyone, they definitely were just funny characters. I really liked them. However, the fact that neither of them had any focus meant they were barely in the story, and thus I got bored of the new cast pretty quickly. And by the way, I didn't like the new cast. There was nothing about them that made them truly unique enough to stand out as a group. Now, I know that may sound stupid, but whenever I'm introduced to a new cast of characters that the main character has to work with, I want them to be interesting. If we take, for example, some different moments in the Fairy Tail anime, which is an anime I'm still watching. I'm actually only on episode 135 right now. However, I've seen some really interesting pair-ups in that show that I thought, I don't know if these characters would work well together in these scenarios, but they surprisingly work really well. Just the whole mix of with Asuna and these new characters, there was nothing about them that truly made them fun to watch on their own. And while I admit Yuki was definitely, again, I think that's her name. If it's not, I'm sorry, but the purple-haired girl, if you want it for short, the reason I was actually kind of intrigued by her character was how much focus she had in the story. When I learned that she was actually a kid who was dealing with some kind of terrible illness and was dying, I thought, holy crap, this is really interesting. Can we dive more into this? And then we did, and it was boring. It was just a bunch of science talk. Okay. Science talk it is, I guess. I didn't think it was very good. I thought that the backstory was a bit weird, and maybe it's just my disliking of Asuna's character that made it a lot harder to enjoy, but for Asuna's first story arc where she was the main character, it was very meh. And this may sound stupid, but after watching the first half of the Alicization War of the Underworld arc, Alice, who is a character in Alicization, she's the main character of the first half of the final season, and her arc's actually pretty good. I really enjoyed it. However, this one with Asuna was very meh. it was very weird, and I definitely don't think it was able to go to great strides like the one in Alicization War of the Underworld did with its main character. And I just generally didn't find Asuna or any of the characters in this that interesting. And what I mean by when I said earlier that's the scene where Yuki, who is one of the main characters, is approaching death, when she dies, I actually was a little bit sad, thinking, oh no. And then automatically after that, I just thought, oh, well, okay, I guess we're done now. On to the next season! Although I didn't actually go watch the next season, I went to watch the movie, which, if a review comes out for that one, I don't know how it's gonna work out, but I have my own opinions on the movie. And while I think that the whole aspect of this arc was meant to be to show Asuna is a capable character and that she can have her own story, this did not help it at all. Like, there was nothing about her character that I truly liked in this season, and I really thought that she just wasn't that interesting. I actually had more fun watching the whole Excalibur arc than I did actually watching this arc, because not only was the theme song for that one, actually the theme song for that one wasn't catchy either. I think they were about the same, but every other SAO theme song at some point I thought was really catchy. Even though I admit Alicization and Alicization War of the Underworlds weren't as catchy and memorable as the original SAO intros were, even Ignite, which is my favorite SAO intro, had songs that were memorable and I really liked them. This one had a song I forgot every single episode. And every single time the opening happened, I just remember, like, oh, it has an opening. I completely forgot it had an opening because the song just wasn't that good, and I thought the opening itself wasn't that well designed. And I didn't think the opening was even that good. And if I don't think the opening is good, then you must be doing something wrong, because I'm very easy to please. Like, I really like the opening for Assassin's Pride, even though I think that show is just mediocre at best. And yet, I still want to go back and rewatch it just for its opening. A strong opening is what makes a show worth watching, and this show just... its opening for this was just not very good. I did not care at all, and I generally thought that there wasn't an opening until I remembered, oh yeah, there was one. And with everything going on with the whole arc, I was quite confused half the time. And when they explained this character's dying, oh, these characters don't want to play anymore without their friend online, or oh my gosh, this happens and that happens, I was so freaking kerfuffled. Like, was I supposed to know all this? Was I supposed to figure this stuff out? I was so confused. And whenever it wasn't trying to entertain me with some really awesome action or stuff, it was monologuing for several minutes. And as much as I know that monologue is part of a whole thing with animes and stuff like that, this one was just very, very boring, and I just did not care for half of these characters. And even the ones I did care for weren't even that good. I mean, out of everyone, Klein, of course, when he makes his few appearances in this arc, were amazing. They made me laugh every single time, and I thought Klein was an amazing character. Kirito was once again an awesome character, even though he's barely in it. And he does have some nice moments with Asuna around the start of it, and near the end of it. However, there wasn't enough here to make it truly something overly worth watching. I found it okay at best. I didn't think it was very good. And basically all of season 2 was pretty much a complete mess heap. It wasn't at all very entertaining. I found little to no interest in it, which really surprised me too, because I thought the Mother's Rosario arc would be really entertaining because we're back in a world where swords and stuff were the main weapon, which I absolutely love those types of stories. That's what got me to fall in love with season 1. and the Alfheim Online in that season was really good. I really liked the action and the story and the fights and stuff. However, with this, it was not only a little bit weird, but I just didn't find as much interest in the action either. I liked the action. I just didn't think it was like stuff that I'd rewatch dozens of times. It didn't fit. It just felt so weird to try to follow this whole story. And while I was super happy and excited at first that Asuna was getting a story arc dedicated to her to give me a reason to care for her character, all this did was make me think she's just a generic nice girl. Like, those exist all over anime. Literally every other character inside the SAO universe has some kind of thing that makes them like really interesting. Like how Lisbeth is super like sarcastic and goofy, and while she's nice, she also likes to mess with her friends a lot. And also, if we think of Sinon, while she is a nice person, she can also be very reclusive and not exactly have a good time managing her anger. And basically every single character has something that makes them worthy of being a likable character, but all of that Asuna had, where she was this really cool character, kind of stepped out the window in the ALO arc, which I didn't mind too much because I didn't really care for Asuna, so seeing that was fine. But when we see her return to that super powerful, strong person in this arc, I just wasn't interested. I didn't care. I thought it was very mundane, and I didn't think that her character was really developed at all. I thought she was going to get major development, but all she really did was feel bad for a dying friend and then be done with it. She didn't develop at all. Sure, she learned this special scroll type thing of a move that only the Yuki person knew, which I thought was really cool, but that was like one moment in the entire series, and that was near the end, so was it worth it? No, it wasn't. In general, I thought this arc was very meh. But I guess we'll fully discuss it right now because we're at the conclusion. So, what do I think? I think this whole arc was very meh. I found it kind of boring. The action wasn't that interesting. And I really think that it didn't give me anything that I really wanted to see. And as much as I was hoping for Asuna to grow as a character in this, she didn't really grow that much. And is still kind of your generic person who once was a complete, like, amazing person. I don't want to say that word, but not that word, another word that's a swear word. But I generally think that Asuna didn't get much development, if any at all, and I think that it would have been better if we just got some more of her and Kirito maybe going on adventures or something. Like maybe her leading with Kirito behind her, or maybe her teaming up with Klein or Lisbeth or one of these characters that was extremely likable. Maybe something like that would have been a better watch, but in general, this arc was very meh. It wasn't that good. I thought it was very meh, and I'd probably have to rate it a 4 out of 10. That's all I can really say. It was not that good. It was by far the most boring arc out of all of the whole seasons. And while the other arcs I liked for their really interesting plot lines and their character development, I didn't like this one because there just wasn't enough to make it feel like nice. The only good part of it was like at the very end where Asuna does something to help a friend in the real world and stuff like that. I thought that was all really good. And kind of like a plot twist type thing with Kirito realizing something that I believe will get the plot of Sword Art Online Alicization involved, which I think the review for that will come out eventually, and I look forward to it because I really do want to talk about that season. Basically, this whole thing was very meh. It felt more like it was more of a setup towards a future project, and I didn't find much entertainment in it. I had way more fun watching GGO and stuff like that. And it needed a lot of work. But that's all I could say. Thank you everyone for tuning in. I'm JGC Anime, and I am signing off. Peace.